Browns' Myles Garrett's blunt reaction to defense-blowing game versus Vikings. Garrett gave a response after the Browns' defense blew a late lead. QB Dillon Gabriel threw 2 TDs but couldn't prevent Cleveland's defeat. The Cleveland Browns quarterback situation continues to evolve as the team carefully plans its next move under center. After veteran Joe Flacco was benched in favor of rookie Dillon Gabriel, the Browns entered Sunday's London matchup against the Minnesota Vikings hoping to find a spark. They came close, but not close enough. Gabriel's first NFL start showed flashes of promise and plenty of frustration. The rookie completed 19 of 33 passes for 190 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions in the 21-17 loss. His 57.6% completion rate and 94.3 passer rating reflected an efficient but inconsistent afternoon. The Browns' offense started slow and sputtered late, unable to protect a fourth-quarter lead. Following the defeat, All-Pro pass rusher Myles Garrett didn't mince words about Cleveland's inability to finish. "Just gotta close it out. Frustration doesn't matter. Result does," Garrett told, as posted by Zach Jackson of The Athletic after the game. His short, pointed statement summed up the mood inside the locker room: accountability and disappointment. The Browns' defense had contained Carson Wentz and the Vikings for much of the afternoon, but 2 late touchdown drives, including one sparked by a 22-yard completion, flipped the script. Cleveland entered the final 5 minutes with a 17-14 advantage before surrendering the decisive score. Despite Gabriel's steady command, Cleveland's offense struggled to sustain drives when it mattered. The running game was bottled up for most of the day, forcing the rookie to carry the load against a Vikings front that brought relentless pressure. The absence of key offensive linemen only compounded the issue. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, who had defended the decision to start Gabriel before the trip, reiterated post-game that the result doesn't change the team's long-term approach. "He operated well," Stefanski said. "There are things we'll clean up, but I liked how he battled." Still, the Browns' margin for error has vanished. Now 1-4, Cleveland must regroup quickly before facing the Jaguars next week. Whether or not Shedeur Sanders, who continues to develop behind the scenes, enters the picture soon, this remains a team searching for both identity and consistency. Iago Antunes is a Brazilian journalist and writer with experience covering esports, the NFL, NBA, and soccer. He has contributed to online outlets and reported on major international tournaments. The Cleveland Browns were supposed to make a statement in London. Instead, they left the field stunned, victims of their own collapse. The Minnesota Vikings stole a 21-17 win in the final minutes, and for star defensive end Myles Garrett, it was the kind of loss that leaves a sour taste long after the final whistle. Garrett didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't hide behind cliches about learning opportunities or growing pains. When the microphones found him in the post-game locker room, his words were as sharp and unfiltered as his play usually is. "We blew it," Garrett said flatly. "There's no other way to say it. The defense didn't finish. And that's on us, on me." It was a rare moment of raw honesty from one of the NFL's most dominant defensive players. But then again, Garrett has never been one to mince words when accountability is needed. The collapse in London. The Browns entered the fourth quarter leading 17-14. The defense had largely contained Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy, forcing him into errant throws and shaky decisions. Garrett had been his usual force of nature: a sack, multiple pressures, and a forced fumble that should have sealed the game. But football isn't scripted. With just over 3 minutes left, the Vikings mounted a desperate, methodical drive. A few missed tackles, a busted coverage on third down, and suddenly McCarthy found Jordan Addison wide open in the back of the end zone. Touchdown. Vikings 21, Browns 17. The Browns' offense couldn't respond. And as the clock hit 0, the defensive unit trudged off the field, helmets low, knowing they had let it slip away. "We can't talk about being elite if we can't close games like that," Garrett said afterward. We had them, and we let them off the hook." Garrett's leadership tested. What makes Garrett's reaction sting deeper is his evolution into the emotional core of Cleveland's locker room. Once seen as a quiet, freakish athlete who led through performance, Garrett has grown into the Browns' moral compass, the player whose words carry as much weight as his sacks. He's seen this script before. The Browns' defense, one of the league's most talented, has, at times, folded in crucial moments. For Garrett, it's not just about X's and O's, It's about mentality. Talent doesn't mean anything if you can't execute when it matters, he said. We talk about being the best defense in football, but the best defenses don't give up touchdowns when the game's on the line. That's the truth. His teammates didn't disagree. Linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah called Garrett's words real, adding that sometimes you need to hear it raw. Defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson echoed the sentiment. Myles holds everyone accountable, including himself. That's what leadership looks like. A wake-up call for the Browns. The Browns' defense had been their identity all season. Coordinator Jim Schwartz's unit prided itself on physicality, discipline, and chaos. Through 4 games, they had been ranked near the top of the league in yards allowed and sacks. But the Vikings exposed something deeper, an inconsistency in focus. On that final drive, the Browns didn't look like the snarling, relentless group that had terrorized quarterbacks all year. They looked unsure, a step late, a miscommunication here, a missed assignment there. Garrett noticed. "We let off the gas," he said. "We thought we had it wrapped up, and we got comfortable. That's not us. That can't be us." It wasn't a rant. It wasn't finger-pointing. It was honesty, the kind that good teams use as fuel and bad teams ignore. The face of accountability. There's something powerful about a superstar owning a collective failure. Garrett could easily point fingers elsewhere, at the offense for failing to extend the lead, at the secondary for blown coverage, at the coaches for soft zone calls. But that's not his style. "I'm supposed to set the tone," Garrett said. "If I don't close the game, then I didn't do my job. Period." He's not wrong. On the Vikings' final drive, the Browns' pass rush disappeared. Minnesota adjusted protections, rolled McCarthy out, and neutralized Garrett's impact. For someone who prides himself on taking over games, that reality gnawed at him. "You don't want to be remembered for the plays you didn't make," Garrett said quietly. "That one's going to stick with me." Reactions around the league. Around the NFL, Garrett's comments drew respect. Analysts praised his candor, calling it a championship mentality. Former players on social media highlighted how rare it is for stars to publicly shoulder blame in an era dominated by media spin. ESPN's Ryan Clark tweeted, "That's what leadership sounds like." Myles Garrett doesn't hide behind stats, he demands greatness. Cleveland fans, too, felt a mix of frustration and admiration. Losing hurts, but seeing their captain refuse to make excuses rekindled belief that this team, flawed as it may be, still has a strong foundation.